if you want to have full wings, I'm going to let you have full wings. Just never call me your dad again.
What's up, you guys? It's T.
It's Cindy.
And it's Tea Time with Cindy. And today we have a guest star that y'all have already seen before.
Tommy!
It's Tommy! So, what's the tea today, you guys?
Is it hot? Is it steaming?
Is it lukewarm?
Or is it cold?
I feel like I don't know if I ever drink. Oh wait, no, there's boba. That's right. Boba is like cold tea. I was like thinking, like, who drinks cold tea? And then
I like cold tea.
Iced tea and cold tea. That's right. Do you have issues with your family?
Jump right in, Cindy. Jump right
right into the spot.
in. Sometimes.
Because I still live at home, and they are honestly becoming one of the biggest reasons I want to move so badly. But I love my family, but I just hate having to repeat myself so many times and I just feel extremely disrespected, especially when it comes to if I set ground rules and boundaries, I expect it to
be respected, right?
Yeah, to be respected and to at least be acknowledged, because there's a reason why I set these ground rules and boundaries.
Right.
And I just feel like I love my mom. Like, I love her to death. But sometimes it's just so hard to communicate with her because I just feel she always oversteps, especially when it comes to my son. But
Her grandson.
yes.
Yes.
And you already know it's her only grandson, so that's her little golden nugget,
Yes.
and stuff like that. But like, I just feel I'm having difficulty being patient, and because I don't want to yell at her because I appreciate her help, and I know yelling doesn't help, but I don't know how to approach in the sense that how can I get her to understand to respect my needs and boundaries, especially if I'm going to continue to stay under that roof,
Right. Yeah.
And the biggest issue I'm having right now is she would come, for example, like she would not knock on the door. There's no, and I will be in the middle of doing something, and I'm just like, bro, and then it just gives everybody else like
leeway to just like
to continue barging in. But
No, I feel where you're coming from, because I think it is, the stereotypical tiger mom, and I feel like we've all kind of experienced that a little bit, and especially living with your parents, the whole you're under my roof, it's my rules, or I get to do whatever I want. Your room is my room because I'm paying for it, or that kind of stuff.
Gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're paying rent. I'm the one paying rent. Utilities,
wait.
That's the thing, and I'm just
different.
it's just
Yeah.
like, I love her.
Yeah.
Okay? But I just having it's just a constant thing. But then, like, don't get me wrong, when she does listen, it's great. It's great. But then she falls back into the pattern again.
Like, she's getting really like comfortable with you and stuff, and she's like, oh, this is my daughter, and she's living in our house or my house, and then even though you are paying rent, Asian moms kind of, or Viet moms don't really get that. They just kind of like make you feel like you're not in control there because she's the mom, so she's going to feel like she's gonna have to make herself the boss, basically. She's the one that's making the rules, even though you tell her, and she will fall back because that's how moms are, in a way. So it's tough. I get it.
It is. And like, it just doesn't help that my parents still live together and they're divorced.
Yeah.
The family dynamic
it's hard.
And they're constantly fighting too. And I'm just like, bro, I want to
that's a really confusing situation.
It's really tough.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think I can figure it out. But I feel like I'm at my slowly coming to my boiling.
Yeah, you're at your peak.
The thing is, I appreciate everything she has done for me. That's why it's so hard for me to be so harsh with her, because she has done so much for me growing up. She has been there for me. She has always loved me. She has always had that open heart space for me to be who I am. Quote unquote, I am her favorite child. But because like obviously if your teenage daughter came home pregnant, that would have been like
game
over, right? No, literally when I told her that I was pregnant with my son, she was upset for like a minute. And then the next, she was like, I'm about to have a grandchild.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's my biggest
supporter. That wouldn't have happened in this household.
No, not in this household.
Girl, you won't be lecturing for hours.
Yeah.
You're going to be sleeping outside. That's what it's going to be like. You're going to be disowned.
That's always been how my family is. And like, she's always been so loving towards us. And honestly, I am blessed.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's just been very hard to have my boundaries, but then having love for her, but then having her disrespect my boundaries. I'm just like...
So it's like in a circle, I think like eventually whenever you decide to do the move out, I think you guys' relationship will be much stronger. Sometimes you do have to kind of be away from it. It's gonna suck because you're living by yourself, or you're moving into a new place and you won't have your family that close anymore. But sometimes it might make your bond with each other much stronger.
Yeah, because when you're in each other's space all the time, in the physical sense, it becomes like that mental thing too, like where they're just constantly like, oh, how's your day, what are you doing, where are you going? It's like you don't need too much advice. You don't need to know.
It's like having a clingy SO.
Yes.
Exactly.
Y'all are right. Whenever I do go on my trips, I do notice when I do come back, things are so good. So good, But when I'm just like at home consecutively, weeks after week and all, it's just... I need space.
Yeah. And it's hard because you guys all live with each other in the same house. So when you need the space, you can't get the space because literally they're in your space, know? So I get it. It's tough out there.
Yeah.
But you got it though. I feel like you will eventually find your peace and stuff. And eventually whenever you decide to move out, it's going to be a good thing to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a common thing, not to say that it's good at all, because sometimes it's not good, but I think it's really common for families to just not really understand boundaries like that, because it's like, oh, we're family, we don't have to worry about that because we're flesh and blood and you're my child, so yeah, I can barge into your room whenever I want because you are a part of me, of course. And it's like, yes, but also no, because what if I'm doing something?
What if I'm doing something private? Mother.
Like, what if they walk in on you doing something?
God. Yeah,
oh my God, I'm getting flashbacks.
Oh gosh.
I would be embarrassed.
I would literally die. I'm sorry. Like, I would shrivel up and die.
I would not come out. I would go out the window.
Yeah, like, y'all can close the door now. Like, please, what are you doing?
But you have came out, right?
I have. So I came out in 2018, September 27th to be exact. I have a tattoo on my chest of when I came out to my friends. I think coming out was a little tough for me at some point. I think coming out to friends was easier than coming out to my parents. When I came out to my friends, they were like, oh, like we already knew. We were just waiting for you to let us know. And I do appreciate the friends that kind of had my back, because like they had other friends or associates would ask like, oh, is Tommy gay or whatever, because I didn't come out until maybe like mid-college year. So a lot of friends were like, oh, is Tommy gay? And my friends was like, he's never told me that he's gay, so we're just gonna go off what he says. If he's straight, then he's straight, but if he's gay, then don't worry about it, like when he's ready, he's ready. So coming out to my parents was a crazy story. It was really intense. So I was actually here in Houston when I came out to my parents on the phone.
Oh, because they live in
Louisiana. New Orleans.
Oh my God.
So originally I was really scheming a lot of things to move out in a way, but I wasn't ready to move out yet, but I was waiting for the right time to move out. But when I was in Louisiana, I was trying to get into hygiene school. I'm a dental hygienist now, but when I was back in Louisiana, I was looking for hygiene school. So I was trying to get into hygiene school in Texas or Houston, Texas, but I couldn't at the time. So I was trying to get my bachelor's in science in Houston. So I was going to UHD for a semester. So it was really tough for me to tell my parents that like I got accepted into just a regular college, like a bachelor's degree. So my parents, my mom, she knew what I was going into, but my dad, on the other hand, he didn't know that I was just going for my bachelor's degree in science. He thought I got accepted to hygiene school. So he's like, oh, go ahead and go. But before I even left, it was really tough because when I showed him, he was like, oh, if you really got accepted to hygiene school, we would get an acceptance letter or like a letter to show. And I was showing him that I got accepted to school, but he was like, oh, I don't trust it. It shouldn't be through your email.
Yeah.
And I got it through my email saying that I got accepted to a bachelor's degree. He was yelling at me. He was like, oh, I don't trust you. I don't know why you're going over there. It's expensive and all that stuff. And just get into school here. Why are you going over there? So finally he decided to let me go. And I was crying in the car, like driving to Houston. I was crying because he was like, I don't trust you. If you're lying to me, I never want to hear from you again. I was like,
oh my gosh. And this is just for school.
This was just for school. And I wasn't even out yet. So I was like, what the hell? Why is he acting that way towards me? And I'm the youngest one out of the, like, me and my older brother. And so I was like, man, why is he so rude to me? I literally met up with my best friend to go eat. And then, like, I was crying at the table. I was like, oh my God, like, I've never seen him act like this towards me. Like, I've never seen this much anger in him. Why is he acting that towards me? So finally I decided to leave. And I came here, and then I was showing him my school and stuff like that. He was super excited for me. So I was here for like a semester, and I was coming back to visit my parents for Chinese New Year. So when I was there, everything was great. It was awesome. He's being nice to me, like everything's okay. And then finally, my brother hears my parents talking about money. And my name was in the topic, like, you know, we're giving him a lot of money. It's $1,000. That's a lot, because I was paying for rent living with. So coming to story, Patrick is who I was living with, which is my boyfriend now for about 5.5 years or so. So during the time I was staying with him and I was paying for rent. So my parents gave me rent for the house staying and then also for food. So it came out to like about $1,000. So I was paying Patrick maybe like $600, and then the $400 would come into food. And then I was paying out of pocket for my student loans for school. So going back to the story about being back home in Chinese New Year, my brother, he hears them saying stuff about me, and there was some argument with my parents about money. So my brother, he comes into my room and he's like, so what is all this topic about mom and dad fighting about money? What's going on? I thought you were living for free. I was like, no, it doesn't work like that. I get it that he is my boyfriend, but I still need to be respectful and pay for rent. I can't just be living for free. Like, I'm just
like mooching off of him.
You know what I mean? Like, I have to be responsible in a way. Of course, I didn't have money at the moment, so of course I was gonna pay my parents back for it. You know, I was really appreciative of them giving me money, but he was like, if you don't tell them that you're gonna find a job and make your own money, then I'm gonna go and tell them that you're staying with Patrick, which is my boyfriend at the time.
Oh gosh.
Dude, I felt so flabbergasted. I was like, what the hell?
It'd be your own family.
It'd be your own family. I was like, where is this coming from?
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
And I don't know, like, I'm sorry to talk about my brother, bashing about him and stuff like that, because we're in a good relationship now. But I was like, I don't know if he was jealous of me because I was being able to leave and then get money and stuff like that. To this day, I don't know why that came up. So I end up with, my mom comes in, she's like, oh, like, we'll give you money and don't worry about it. You'll be okay. And then I was like, no, like, mom, don't worry about it. I'll go find a job. Because I was trying to protect myself, because I was like, it's kind of wrong that he was using it against me as a leverage to come out to them when I haven't come out to them yet. Like, I wasn't even ready yet, so it kind of hurt me really badly. Like, it rubbed me the wrong way. I was like,
well, you trusted him with that.
I trusted him with that because he knows about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll just talk to mom. So I talked to my mom and I was like, oh, it's fine, like, I'll get a job. So then she's like, no, I know it's gonna be hard in school. Like, my mom had my back. She's like, I know it's gonna be hard in school, so don't worry about it. We'll give you money. Just don't worry about it. Like, don't go to work and stuff. So I ended up driving back to Houston. Thought everything was fine. I thought everything was good. I'm like, oh, I had a good time with my parents and I'm back to Houston. Everything is good. I'm going back to school. I get a call the next day after I got out of school, and my dad is yelling on the top of his lungs on the phone.
Oh, God.
He was like, I thought you were in Houston for hygiene school. What are you doing there? What's going on? Like, I thought you got accepted into hygiene school. I was like, no, I was going for my bachelor's degree in science. He said, well, you could have done that over here. I was like, what? What do you mean? I'm just going over here to, you know, give my science degree. He's like, well, you could have got that here. This whole time, I thought you got accepted into hygiene school. So, if anything, you need to come back home now.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, what the hell? I just had a good time.
Yeah.
And then I come back, and then I get this. I was like, I'm pretty sure it had to do something with my brother.
Someone said something.
Someone fishy had said something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
How many people did you told?
So I only told my brother and my friends and stuff like that, like why I'm here in Houston and stuff. So my parents didn't know anything about Patrick and stuff. So he just thought I was there, you know, for school. So of course I was there for school. So he literally was like, oh, you need to move back now. And I was like, well, I haven't even finished my semester yet. I have until the end of May until finish. He's like, what do you mean to the end of May? I was like, I just started school like literally in January or December. I was like, I can't just leave now.
Yeah, because you already paid tuition and everything.
I already paid tuition.
It'd be a waste of money to go back home.
Yeah, he was like, what are you talking about? School should only be like 2.5 months. What do you mean? It's like, I was like,
When did he go to school?
yeah, he didn't go to school.
timeline
I was
or
like,
universe is this?
he was like, you should be done with school now. I was like, I didn't even finish the semester. I barely started.
Oh, gosh.
So he was gaslighting me so much, and I was literally like, tell him, dude, I haven't even finished yet. So like, he hung up the phone on me after I told him that I don't finish until May.
Okay.
I was like, well, okay, that's fine. So let me finish. I'll finish school. My mom calls back later. She says, Gong, you need to move back home now. Or you need to finish your school and you need to come back. I'll talk to your dad, but you need to move back. You need to move back after you finish school. So when I was there during school, I was trying to finishing up, then COVID hits.
Oh, yeah.
COVID was hitting during that time, so all my schooling was online.
Mm-hmm.
So then during that time, Patrick was having a rough time. Mm-hmm. So I was staying with him during that hard time. So my mom was figuring out that school was all online. Mm-hmm. Or if school was getting canceled and stuff like that. So my mom, she calls me during the hard time. She was like, you can move back home because school is just getting canceled, so you should be able to go back home.
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, oh, I'm not moving back home. I'm gonna stay here. She's like, what do you mean? She was like, I thought you were coming home. I was like, no, I kind of lied about it. I was scheming to stay because I ended up getting a dental assistant license during that time. So I was like, okay, perfect.
I got a job.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna pay for rent myself.
Yeah.
You know, so during that time, I was getting my license and I got accepted. My mom, she was like, what do you mean you're not coming home? I was like, I have a boyfriend. And I told her, I was like, oh, I have a boyfriend and I like guys. I don't want to go back home. And then my dad heard that on the phone. He was like, what do you mean you don't want to go home? I told you were supposed to come home after you finished school. I was like, oh no, I'm not coming home. I'm staying. Girl, he's like yelling on his top of his lung. He said, what do you mean you're not coming home? You need to come home now. If you're not, then I'm gonna call the police and say you stole the car. I was like, what the hell? Where did this come from? And I'm like, during that time, freaking out. I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna call the police on me. I was like, I'm not gonna come home. He's like, well, then we're gonna report it that you stole the car. And I was like, shit. I was like, well, I was telling Patrick, and I was like, I gotta go back home. They're gonna call the police on me. Like, and he was like, no, just stay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You know, it's fine. My mom, she was like, don't worry about it. I'll talk to your dad. I'll try to like see if like you can just stay and, you know, send your report cards home so that they can see that I'm doing good and I'm not being bad out here. Later, so my mom, I showed her Patrick through the phone. I was like, oh, this is Patrick. This is my boyfriend. And she was like, hi, Gong. And I was like, he's Chinese, Mom. I was like, he's Chinese. And so I was like, oh, this is great. And then my mom, she goes and talks to my brother's fiance now. She's like, can you talk to Patrick? To Tommy and be like, hey, can you talk to him so he can come home? Aww. And I was like, no. I was like, Mom, I'm not coming home. I already said it. I want to stay here. I enjoy it out here a lot. So I thought everything was fine. We hung up. I told her I love her and that she's the greatest mom ever. And I was like, thank you for being accepting of me for a little bit. I know it's a hard topic, but thank you for being a good mom and trying to have my back. So she was like, I'll talk to your dad. Don't worry about it. So it comes around to the next morning. I thought everything was okay. He calls me at like 11 in the morning. So we're all just sleeping and I hear the phone and it's my dad. So I was like, I was like, hello. And he was like, oh, my white, huh? You don't want to come home, huh? You want to just go and be all bad and stuff. And you want to be you don't know us anymore and all that stuff like that. And I was like, wait, what do you mean now? He's like, I told you to bring the car back home. Why aren't you home? Oh my gosh. You were supposed to be home. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll bring the car back home. And then he's yelling and cursing. And I was just like, whoa, okay. I was like, fine, I'll bring the car back home. And then later he hangs up on me. My mom calls back 5 minutes later. You can hear him yelling throughout the background and everything. My mom was like, what happened? I told you to not pick up the phone or anything. I was like, well, if I don't pick up the phone,
he's gonna yell
even more. It's gonna be even worse. And I was like, well, I had to pick up the phone because if I don't, he's just gonna
that's your dad. You gotta answer.
I gotta answer. He's told me before, you got a phone for a reason. You better pick up if we're dialing right away.
Exactly.
So then I hang up with my mom. She's like, don't worry about it. Me and my best friend will talk to your dad. We'll try to figure something out. So she had my back. She really wanted me to stay. She's always been loving me for who I am and stuff like that. So I go and hang up the phones. And then I go tell Patrick, I was like, I'm very sorry, but I have to bring this car back home. If I don't bring it home, it's going to be game over. I'm going to be on the freaking list for fucking most wanted child stealing a freaking car. So I begged Patrick's dad during the time. I was like, hey, I understand these are your cars, but I'm begging if I can drive this old Lexus until I can afford my own car. And I will pay for the insurance and everything like that. I just need a car to borrow for the time being because I'm still in school and I need to go to work. So is there any way I can borrow? He's like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Please, anything that we can do to help. Aww. It's perfect. It's fine.
I love the support.
I know. So Patrick had came out to him a long time ago, so he was really accepting of me already. So it was all perfect. And so I drove the car back home. I was driving home 5 hours back to New Orleans. I already got a bus ticket to come back.
Oh, wow.
So I already had everything planned because I was like, oh, fine, you're going to take the car back. It's fine. It's not mine. It's yours. You paid for it. So I understand. So I'm going to give it back. I was driving maybe 3.5 hours already through. My mom was like, hey, don't drive home. It's fine. We'll talk to your dad. I was like, Mom, I'm already 3.5 hours home.
Yeah.
I have to bring the car back home. I'm already 3.5. I might as well. So I'm thinking that my dad was threatening me so that if I don't have a car, I'm not going to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like, you're home. You don't have a car. You can't go anywhere.
Trapped.
You're trapped. You're in this house. You're fine.
Where are you going to go?
Or you're not going to go anywhere. So about maybe 30 minutes in, my mom called again. She's like, please come home and say sorry to your dad. And in my mind, I'm like, I really didn't have to say sorry. I get it. He's my dad. But at the time being, I was very honest about certain things, not coming out, but I was honest about what I was doing there in school. I was there for school. Of course, I had Patrick, but I was there for school.
Yeah.
So I felt like I didn't have to say sorry because I wasn't being rude. No. I feel like the same thing you said, if you want respect, give respect back.
Yeah.
Not yell at me on your top of your lungs.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I feel like if you're gonna talk in the top of my lungs, I'm talking my lungs too.
Yeah, throw back the energy.
The energy that you're giving me. And I'm like, why are you getting mad at me for my energy when I'm topping your energy?
Yeah.
I get it, I'm your son and you have the rights to be my dad, but come on, let's talk on a civil level, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was already yelling at you and accusing you of things right off the bat.
You know, and I was like, you should just talk to me on a regular level. I'll talk to you normal, but if you're gonna yell, I'm gonna yell back too, you know?
Right.
So my mom was like, you should go say sorry. Like, come home and like just come in and say sorry. So I'm pulling up I'm already 30 minutes away, right? So I come home, pulling in. The house is like super quiet. I was like, So I come open the door. My mom's like, she's crying and she's like, hi Gong and stuff. And I was crying already. I was like, oh, this is tough. So my dad's best friend is there.
Oh, wow.
My mom's best friend was there, and I'm coming in there, and I was like, hi, I am home. I'm coming to drop off the car. And I said, thank you for everything. Thank you for being like my dad and then, you know, treating me as your son and stuff. But I'm gonna leave. And then, you know, my dad, he hits me with, do you see him? He doesn't even care about this family. He's already just dipping out. One thing he said to me that hurt me so bad at the point, he was like, if you want to have full wings, I'm gonna let you have full wings. Just never call me your dad again. And I was like, oh my God.
Just because you want to move to a different city.
A different city, to go away, to be an adult, he was like, if you want to have full wings, go ahead. I'm going to take you off the car insurance, the house, like everything, phone bill, everything. But once you step out of that door, never call me your dad again. And I was like, dang, that hit so bad. I was like, wow, I never thought someone would, like my own dad, would ever tell me that. So as I'm leaving the keys there, he's yelling and all that stuff like that. He's looking mad. My mom and her best friend, I go out there and my mom's best friend was like, hey, you know, can you stay and like, you know, talk to your dad and try to work things out. And I was like, I can't.
What more can you say?
I can't say anything else that's gonna change how he feels.
He's already made up his mind.
He's already made up his mind. And I told her, I was like, I can't stay here. I already bought a bus ticket. And if I stay here and talk to him more, I'm just gonna get yelled at even more.
Yeah, because he wasn't even trying to sit down and
he wasn't even trying to understand anything. And it just was really hurtful. I was like I thought you would kind of be a little bit more nice about it, but no, he just like literally told me like, don't even call me your dad again. So I was telling my mom, I hugged her. I was like, you know, I love you and I really appreciate everything that you've done, but I have to head out. So as I'm about to leave, my mom was like, go say sorry to your dad and say that you love him. And of course I was ready to go. I didn't want to do anything else anymore. So I came in there and I was like, hey, I'm leaving now. And you know, and as I was trying to leave, he just didn't even look at me. He didn't even care about anything that I was doing. And he just pushed me to the side like I was a stranger to him. And as I left, he was like, don't ever call me your dad again. And I was like, wow, that hurts so bad that I was like sitting on the side and I called my friend. I was like, hey, I really need some help. I don't know what to do, but I think I need to leave because, you know, I can't stay here anymore and I need someone to come and pick me up and drop me off the bus because I just...
Okay, hold on. Sorry, Arnold.
I got disowned by my dad. I've never felt so miserable for who I was. I was like, this is so hard that I don't even have a family anymore. I just have my mom here supporting me on the sidelines. You know, I wanted my dad to love me. So as I got back to the bus station to go on the Flix bus to go back home, I made it back and I was with Patrick, so it was good. And I called my mom and I told her that I made it and that I love her and I will always appreciate her for everything that she's done for me. And so my dad, I didn't really see him on the phone at all, so I kind of just was just, you know, like, oh, like, how's he doing? And he didn't really want to talk to me or anything like that. And then slowly, like, eventually, like, me and my mom, we were talking and stuff every day. It was crazy because every time my dad would walk out and my mom would cover the phone because she didn't want like my dad to know that she was talking to me because he would still kind of yell throughout the days and stuff. So eventually my mom talks to me and she's like, your dad's doing okay and stuff, he's doing better. And then she would kind of show the phone to my dad and I'm like, hey dad, how are you doing? He's like, oh, like, I'm doing good. And he told me, he was like, oh, how are you, like, are you doing okay? And I'm like, I'm okay, you know, I'm trying to make it through and stuff. So then eventually, like, I think when COVID hit really badly, when people were kind of like passing away, I think that's when he kind of got a flashback, or not a flashback, but like kind of like
realized.
he kind of like a reality check. He was like, oh, one of our friends got diagnosed with COVID and they're in the hospital and they're on a ventilator, and he was like, just wanted to say be safe and like be okay out there, make sure you wear your mask. And I was like, oh, thank you so much, like, I appreciate it. And so I think that's when my dad started to realize that life is too short, and if he had a bad relationship or bond with his son, and if I passed away, like, God forbid, but if I had passed away, I think it would have been tough for him because he had left off on a bad note. So eventually we started talking more, and it's kind of short, not like a long conversation, but very short. And I showed him my grades, that I was doing really well. And like during the time, my mom didn't tell him that I was out yet. So she knew I was out.
Oh, he didn't even know that you...
He didn't even know I was out.
He was just mad because you were moving out.
And he thought I was living with a bad person. He thought I was like a gangster, like an Asian gangster. Oh. He thought I was doing drugs and being white. He thought that I was doing all that stuff and going out and being crazy, not going to school.
Can I ask, why did he think that?
I think it was because he didn't know who I was staying with, and he thought that person changed me.
Like made you want to run away from home.
Run away from home because I'm the golden child of the family, right? So I'm the little one. So they're like, oh, like, this is weird. Why does he want to move out? Why doesn't he want to live with us anymore? Yeah. And he thought that I was out there being bad, and like he thought that they changed me, and he thought that they made me say all these things and be mean and all that stuff like that. And deep down I was like, no, I've always been like this. I just was never able to express myself about it. So I finally ended up talking to my mom, and she was like, I think you should talk to your dad about who you're staying with. And I end up telling him that I'm staying with a guy, and this is my boyfriend, and he's a really nice guy, and so I really hope that you're accepting of him. And at first I think it was a topic where it was tough, but I think he started to kind of understand a little bit, but not as much to the extent of knowing what gay was, you know? He thought like being gay was changing my whole identity, as in becoming like a trans person. He thought that I was gonna get nails and get boobs and hair and stuff like that, which is not the case. Right. But I don't know, it's very hard for Vietnamese parents because they think that we're gonna, like, being gay is like turning yourself into a girl, or like vice versa. Like if a girl is a lesbian or something like that, or she's gonna turn into a guy, basically, like cut off all the stuff and then be more like a guy. So I guess a few weeks later, my dad calls and he tells me, hey, whenever you have time to come visit, can you come visit us and stuff? And I was like, yeah, of course, like, I'll come down with Patrick. And they told me that they would give me my car back.
Yay!
So I got my car back. I definitely got my car back, and they got to meet Patrick. And it was really good. My dad was very nice and very understanding. They when he came, he slept in my room. No questions asked. No problems. No barging in.
Because y'all aren't getting pregnant.
Right. I can't give them.
Can't get pregnant, so
I can't give them a grandson or anything.
You're not worried. Sleep in the same bed. Who cares?
So I came in, and my mom was very understanding. She came and asked Patrick if he wanted anything to eat. Aww. So like everything was good. So when I was time to move back or go back to Houston with Patrick, my dad and mom came along. They got to experience Houston since it's been years since they ever been out there. And before like we left or anything, I did ask for my dad's blessing, as in if he could meet Patrick's dad. So during that time, I was very nervous. Actually, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go, you know? But he was like, yeah, Gong, that's okay. Like, I'll go meet his dad. And it was, when they came and met Patrick's dad, everything was so good. It was like they've been friends for a long time.
Aww.
Like, it was not like a
awkward
moment or anything. We went out to go eat, and my dad paid for food to show his appreciation to his dad, like letting me stay with them during the time. And so after that, everything went really well, and now like my parents are very understanding, and I'm so sorry about all the stuff that happened with my dad and stuff. I do love him. He's always going to be my dad. Like no matter if we didn't get into a resolution, I've always was going to say like he's always going to be my dad. I'm always going to love them for who I am. Of course, the bond won't be as strong, but I will still love them. So I'm very happy that he came around, and also my mom. They both came around, and I was of course going to be sad if it didn't work out, because I would love them to experience like my wedding in the future. But if they weren't there, of course I would be really sad, but I think I would be understanding and say it's okay. I have other people that will love me for who I am. So now that everything is good, I can't wait for them to experience me and Patrick's wedding. Now they always ask him, like, how's Patrick's doing? Aww. How is he doing well? Like, how's his sister? How's his dad? Like, how's his mom and stuff? Like, they all ask, like, how's he doing? And everything. So, like, I feel so much love now that I'm happy that everything kind of happened the way it was. Like, it was meant to be. It was finally there. And it's funny, like, my parents can't say Patrick.
How do they
pronounce it?
Patrick?
No, this is so bad. They say, how's Pate doing?
I just told me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
They named him Pate, so they always
I would call him Pate.
yeah, they're like, how's Pate's doing? And then they always talk to him in kind of Vietnamese a little bit. And so I taught Patrick a little bit of some Vietnamese phrases to say, like, oh, chào cô, chào chú. And then, like, he knows how to do the bow and stuff. And then it's funny, like, my mom was like, oh, con phải không? And then he said, he looks at me and I was like, con phải. And then I'm like, go phải không? And he's like, go phải không? And I'm like, oh. And then after that, they're pretty okay. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of my life. Like, coming out was really tough for me, and I'm happy how everything turned out. It's so much better now. Like, I'm in a better place, and I feel it sucked that my parents were the last people to know, but also I feel like it's also a good thing because I saved the best for last, and they got to experience who I am now as a person, and they understand me now, and I can't be so much happier. It was like so hard on me, and I was really stressed throughout my whole life trying to like hide my identity, and it was tough. Going through school, I was afraid of being outcasted or be made fun of, because like every time I hear that, I'm like, during high school or middle school, people were so mean.
Kids are mean.
They're always like saying stuff about gay people all the time, so like it just kept me in the closet for the longest. And like I was trying to find myself and I was trying to prove that I'm not gay, when it was in the end it was hurting me, because I was bad. When I was bad, like I mean these girls, I was ruthless. I was mean to these girls, but it was bad because I felt like this should have been like more of a friend, but then I was trying to date them and stuff, and it like came out really bad. I was like super mean. I would ignore them for like a few days or so.
Oh my god!
I was toxic. I was so toxic. When we got mad, I was mad. I was angry. I would not text first. I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh my god!
And they would text me. I would read the message. I won't respond until like maybe like hours later. I was so bad.
Any of Tommy's ex-school girlfriends, he's gay.
He's gay.
He's gay. Okay? That's why
It wasn't you.
It wasn't you, okay?
It wasn't him.
I end up like, no, it's the funny part. I actually end up telling like years down the line, like, hey, I'm so sorry for being like
Oh my
super
gosh.
mean. Like I'm gay and I'm sorry that our relationship didn't work out. I'm so sorry to put you through that. And I hope you understand. I was going through a lot and I'm sorry that I've used you, or like you were like figuring it out. Like I didn't want it to be like that, but I just didn't feel any intentions to them. Like I didn't feel any sexual feelings towards them or anything like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm gay. I like men too much.
Yeah.
And I
don't care about these girls' feelings.
Yeah.
I'm gay.
And I'm like nowadays I'm looking at girls and I'm like, oh, I can't do that.
That's why I feel so safe with the gays.
Yeah, like, I can't do that. Like, I can't. Like, if I see your boobs right now, I would not feel some type of way. I would just like, whoa, that's a lot. Whoa, that's a lot. And if I saw I feel like if I saw like a girl's private area, I would be disgusted out. I would look at it, I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
That is how
I can't do
that's
this.
how I feel a little bit. Because at some point in my life, I was like, am I gay?
I have told people if the people have asked would you ever sleep with a girl? I'm be straight up. If I see another, I can't, because
Coochies are just weird looking.
yeah,
I know.
I wouldn't even though I have one, I wouldn't know what to do if
Yeah,
one was presented
I
in front of me. I'm just
know.
Like I can't. When I know it sounds bad, but when I was younger or in high school, watching
When you're watching movies with little scenes in it
scenes
or something.
in it,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't pay attention to the female, and I would just pay attention to the male. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm gay. There's just no way. I would just only pay attention to the men. I didn't even care about the girl. The girl, she was laying there. I didn't care. I wasn't even worried about that.
starfish.
I don't know about her. I was just worried about the men.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're good looking.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel some type of way.
Right, good looking. Someone else is good looking.
Don't make me blush right here.
Looking back though, have you ever wanted to know why your dad reacted the way he did, or thought about any of that?
I honestly there was a few days or a few times where I feel why he acted that way, because I think growing back in the old days, the Asian, because they're very old generation, they're the OG Asian people. You go get married and you have a kid, you don't go and have a boyfriend or anything. And I feel like he was probably embarrassed to have a gay son, and I think it was because he's afraid of what people would say. And till this day, when my parents' friend asks me if hey, whenever you get married, invite us to a wedding, or have you found a girlfriend yet, or have you found a yet? And I would just no, I'm busy with school, or I'm busy with life, I just don't have time, I'm just trying to focus on myself and go to school. I still to this day, and I tell my parents' friends, I don't think I'm going to be dating anytime soon. I just really focus on myself, and I just try to respect my parents' friends to where I don't put my parents in an awkward situation. And I just feel like they kind of appreciate that, but I know it's tough on them because I'm pretty sure they're afraid of people saying oh, you have a gay son. What? That's that's weird, or that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Why do you have a gay son?
Yeah.
And like even my parents' side of the family in Vietnam, I've only told my mom's side of the family because I'm very close with them. But on my dad's side, I don't say anything because I feel like they would be very judgmental, and I don't want to put my dad in that situation. We've been through a lot, so I don't want him to feel like awkward or feel like he's pressured or anything like to deal with that. But eventually, hopefully one day, these people will end up finding out that I am gay, and it's gonna be what it is, you know.
Yeah, life goes on.
Life goes on, and I don't need their satisfaction be accepted. I just respect my parents, so now like if they ever say anything or anything, then that's on my parents and stuff. But I feel like now they're okay. They don't have to worry about anything. I live out of state. No one has to worry about me or anything like that. I'm still around. I'm still the same person. But I just hate how Asian friends are very judgmental of their kids. They're like, oh, why can't your kid, you know, they're like, oh, why can't your kid be like my kid, or this and this, or like, oh, that's weird, why are your kids like that, like why are your kids acting out? But I'm like, okay, I get it, but one, they're not your kid for a reason. You worry about your kids, I'll worry about my kids. Like don't, that's why in my head I'm like, if my dad was like feels that way, I just feel like don't worry about what people say. Because at the end of the day, I am your kid. I am your son. Whatever I do, you worry about that with me. You don't have to worry about anybody else telling you what to do. If they did hear that I am gay, stand up for me. Be like, you shouldn't talk about my son like that. You know, like you don't. It should be like that. You should fight for your kid. You should always love your kid for who they are, no matter what they're going through or what they are, because you never know what's gonna happen. So that's what, in my opinion, that's what I feel like maybe that's why my dad acted that way, because he was afraid of the backlash and what people were gonna say. But till now, I think he's okay. Like no one really questions anything. They're just like, oh, how's Tommy doing? Oh, he's in Houston. He's, you know, he's out there, he's working, he's making his money. And also I think that's why my dad became more lenient on me being able to live out here, is because he knows that we can't always depend on him or their house for everything. I should be a grown person and be able to live on my own. So also my brother's fiance lives with our house. So I think that's how he understood that it's okay to let your children leave, because if they want to live on their own, then they should be able to live on their own. We can't hold them back. We're not going to live with them until we're like 30 or 40. That would be a little too hard, you know? 30 or 40. So I wanted to be able to be on my own and not have to worry about them coming for me, or worrying about them coming into my space, or worry about them knocking on my door if I'm doing something or anything like that. I wanted to have my own space. So I think that's everything that kind of helped everything pull together.
I feel like it's a really traditional thought though, because my parents are the same way, where they just want all the kids to be at home, to live in the same household. Like when they were looking at houses, they're like, oh, we can get this house, it has a detachable house, you can live there with your husband. And I'm like, no,
I'm gonna move.
I want to move. But I feel like it's a very because you know they just want everybody to be
close, you know, like everything like tight together. And that's why I was like, man, like I can't live here forever, guys. I can't. I have to.
You gotta be an adult.
I have to be an adult. Like I just couldn't be at home too, because they were kind of overbearing. Like I said, like you live in my house, and you know they were like, oh, like you can pay for rent and you can still live here. I was like, oh no,
but I don't want to live here, even if I did pay rent.
You're gonna make me pay for rent when I'm living in your house, and then you're gonna use that against me, like, oh, you live under my house, you live under my roof, you have a curfew, you can't keep going out. But like when I'm in Houston, I don't have to worry about that. I can do whatever I want. I'm very aware of my surroundings. I'm always around good people. I'm never in a bad situation. So that's why I was like, I can't do this. I can't live here anymore. Like I have to be able to go out and live with on my own, so they don't overbear me. That was like the one thing that killed me so bad,
was the overbearing, because they would control how I do things. They would like call me at 10 p.m. and I barely been out for an hour.
Yeah.
They're like, where are you at? You need to come home.
Oh my god.
I was like, I just left. And when I used to go to like clubs and stuff, I would leave at like 11. They're calling me at 1. They're like, dude, where are you at? You need to come home now.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, the concert just started. I was like, oh no, I did. There was a point where I said, I was in the bathroom. It was so loud because the music is loud.
Yeah.
I ran to the bathroom. I was like, hello? They're like, where are you? They're supposed to be home. You need to come home now. Come home. And I was like, okay. And then 2 hours later, I'm driving home, freaking 4 a.m. And you know, I found like a good way is to not go through the garage.
Oh my gosh.
So I parked my car outside and I go to the front door and I walked straight into my room. Next morning, oh, what time did you go home? I was like, oh, 2. And they didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Now they do.
Well, hopefully they don't watch all of this. Please don't watch all of this. I just told my whole life story.
I know. Tommy's life story, but I feel like it is such a, I don't know if it's Viet dads specifically, but Viet dads are just like that. It's like when you told me everything that he was saying, I was listening to it point blank, but in the back of my mind, he's like, you better bring the car back home or else I'm going to call the cops on you. He wants you to come home so that he can see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants you home. Like he wants
me to stay. Like
he wants you to be there.
He was like using that kind of like as a leverage to make me stay home.
Yeah.
But that pushes you away
instead
more.
of just saying the truth.
And then sometimes it's like, why can't you guys just tell me the truth and not like kind of beat around the bush and like say all these mean things?
And have this like hard exterior and say all these hurtful things make me feel bad when if you just tell the truth, like, hey son, I want you home because I love you and I care about you and I'm worried about you. Okay, like let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, but like not use it against me and freaking like yell at me and then
threaten to disown you and
stuff. To disown me. And I was like, man, that stuff, like when they say those things, it's crazy. Asians, Vietnamese parents, the stuff they say are so mean.
Yeah.
It's like
and
stuff
it's like,
that will break you.
Yeah.
It'll make you like fucking sit there and think about your life. They would sit there and like just bash you. They're like, oh, if you're gonna go out, I'm gonna chop off your fucking legs. Oh, sorry. They're like, if you're gonna leave, I'm gonna chop your legs off.
Right.
Like, where does this go from? And the stuff that they say, it's like, one time, during that fight, my dad was like, "See, your son. You see, you're born this kid out like this." I was like, "Wait a minute,
me?
Are you talking about me?
Whoa, you mean me?
It's a two-way street here.
What you bringing me in the conversation for?
You and mom, y'all.
This is y'all's problem.
What did I have to do about this? I didn't even have a say to be here.
Right. I didn't
sign to be here. I didn't sign to be. I was just the fastest sperm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't accidentally.
He was running. You should be proud of him. He made it.
I made it here. I'm your kid.
Out of thousands, millions.
You shouldn't have to worry about anything. If you didn't want to have a kid, you should have wrapped your willy.
Right. Yeah. They do say a lot of traumatizing stuff. Something that sticks out to me is when they say, "Don't have kids. I don't want you to go through what I've gone through." Like, dang, was I so bad?
For you to say that?
Was I so bad that you had such a hard life because of me? I was so bad that you wish for me to never have kids because you don't want me to go through what you've gone. What did I put you through? Tell me what I put you through because I didn't think I was that bad. I got good grades.
Ask me here.
I didn't ask to be here either. Like, take me out then, please. Like, take me out. Like, end my suffering so I can end your suffering. Like, I'm sorry that I caused so much trouble. Like,
I totally agree.
They say like the most messed up stuff, and they don't realize that stuff sticks with you forever. Yeah.
Like, you can never forget it. Once it's said, it's embedded into your brain because it makes you feel some type of way.
Because they probably don't even remember what they said.
They don't. No. Because then they were like, I've never said that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I said that? No, I didn't. Like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I just made up this traumatizing memory.
I just said this to make you feel bad.
Right. Like, I just made it up in my head, and it lingers with me every day, but it's fake because you never said it.
I feel like it's because we, specifically for Asian households, we were told not to have feelings. too.
Yes.
So we don't know how to process feelings.
Yes.
Both girls and guys. Like if you're a guy, you have to be a man. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to express yourself. You have to be very stoic and very emotionless. As a girl, you're told to be quiet, be
quiet.
good. Don't, if you have problems, don't talk about it, because you have to be the good girl and like be the little innocent girl. So I think growing up, they never had a chance to be able to express themselves. So they would just think the first thing off of their mind when they're angry. And I'm just glad that we're now growing up in a generation where it's okay to talk about feelings. But now, honestly, what I've noticed with my friends and all, and the people I've been meeting, it's very apparent how being raised, not being told not to talk about your feelings, it's affecting a lot of people. In really, really bad ways. And I feel like it's apparent like how we were raised.
And it sucks too, because you know your parents, they tell you all to act all like good and like, you know, mighty and all that stuff, but they don't understand what we go through because of how much stress that we go through or what we're going through. And that's why sometimes it's so hard to tell your parents anything, because they kind of push it away. They kind of make it sound like, oh, you're not having that, you're not stressed. Oh, you're having a good life, you shouldn't feel that way.
And it's like that whole thing with, you know, like as Vietnamese Americans, what are we, like first generation?
I think so, right?
Born, like if we're born here in America, we're first generation. They experience the Vietnam War, and it's traumatizing, of course. Having to be on a boat with like hundreds of other people, having to worry about pirates like kidnapping your mother or your sister, or you know, like dying, like getting shot in the head. They have to worry about all these things, and thankfully we don't. But that's the they went through all that, so they don't understand why when we have these minor inconveniences to them,
it's like, oh, it's not as bad as
it's not as
bad as what they went through, like where they had to go through a boat, through the war, hide away. So they're kind of like
I see where they come from, but at the same time, it's like I'm grateful that I didn't have to experience that, but just because I didn't doesn't mean I don't
experience anything.
Experience anything bad, because they were worrying so much about surviving, they didn't get to worry about their thoughts and emotions and get time to process that, because they're just fighting for their lives. And we have the time to do that, we have the chance to do that, and it just makes this very like difficult bridge to bring together between that generation and our generation. They don't understand why we're crying about, you know, girlfriends and boyfriends when they were on a boat like starving to death. And
what's a popular thing nowadays is, are people trying to help their parents,
like heal their
trauma. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, my parents haven't really told me much about their experience coming to America, so I wish I could help them, but I feel like, especially my dad, I heard part of his story because he was telling a stranger on a plane one time, and I was like listening, and I was like, wait, what? Why didn't you tell me any of this? But I feel like I kind of get it, because he's my dad. You know, he's supposed to be, you know, the strong leader of the family, like leader of the household. He's tough, but just hearing all that stuff, it's like, gosh, I don't know if I'd want to tell my kid, because it's so scary and it's so sad.
Yeah, of like going through all that.
Just being vulnerable with your children about that, I can understand why it would be hard for him. And while I would love to, I don't think it's, not that it's my place, but I don't know if I'd be the best person for him.
To comfort him with that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I don't know, my parents don't talk much about that stuff anymore. I mean, they used to use it kind of against us.
Yeah.
They used to be like, oh, they're like starving people out there, and you know, we've been through a lot. Like, I brought you guys to this world, to America, so that you guys can have a better life, so you don't have to go through what I've been through or what we had to do to get here. And as a kid, I didn't really understand that. I was like, dude, why are you acting so...
Yeah, like, why are you being so mean?
Why are you being so mean to me? Like, there are other kids out there that are having a good life. Why am I freaking...
Like, why am I being punished for you know, existing?
Yeah, like, why are you bringing that on me, you know? And I get it. Like, now I do 100% get it. Why they told us that. Because they wanted us to live a better life. And they had to go through all the struggles so that we can live a good life. And when I was a kid, I didn't understand that. I was really I was mad at my parents all the time. But now I understand it, and I appreciate them, and I love them for all the hardships that they had to go through. And sometimes I kind of wish I was able to go in their body and experience it to understand it. Because I understand it on the outside, but I don't understand like how they truly felt in the inside. Like I don't understand like what they went through or any of that, and I want to experience that, but from a far side. You know, I know war and all that stuff is bad, like it was rough back then, but I want to experience it so that I can fully understand.
So you can really truly empathize with them and their experience.
To at least like understand them, you know? Like I understand them, but I don't.
It's just it's such a interesting perspective to be a first generation Vietnamese American.
Yeah, it's like tough out. It's like pretty tough because I wonder how it's gonna be for the new generation, the kids. Like I know you have a kid, and I love that last time you said that you have a really good bond with your kid. They're like your son, and I love that because I want to be able to, if I ever had a kid eventually, if we will have one or not, I would love for my kid to come to me for anything. Of course, I will be angry at the moment, or not angry, but very, you know, because I have to be
like, why?
You have to be the
your
parent.
head's just like,
I have to be a parent, but I would understand him and just teach him a lesson and explain to him like, oh, like, you know, this is what I feel and stuff like that. I want to have a good bond with my kid,
like a safe space.
a safe space for them to come, because like, what if they go through something and I don't know?
You're right.
And they're hiding it from me, and that's why it's so hard for being with our generation, like when we had our parents and stuff, because sometimes it's hard to tell them anything because you're afraid of getting yelled at, disowned, or anything like that. But like you're a kid, like your son, you get to be able to talk to him, and he can come to you and talk about it, and you guys are on both the same level, and I love that. And I hope that the generations, like, when you guys have kids or everything like that, they will be able to be comfortable to come to talk to you guys for anything, you know? Like I don't want anything to happen to them where they're like hiding all these emotions and we don't know about it, and then like something could happen.
I honestly use my experience growing up. In my head, I'm just like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like my mom or my dad, where I was told I can't express myself, I can't be able to come to them, or like be afraid to get in trouble. Honestly, growing up, I've always been rebellious, but I've always the type to do what I want and just start fighting my parents about it, because I don't want to be told I can't do this because this and this and that. But then taking a step back, I've been trying to understand my parents a lot more, trying to sit down and talk to them like, why are you like this? And when I took that road trip up to Seattle, my mom actually opened up her entire life story, and I'm like, Mom, you should write a book. You know, because her life story is very, very inspirational to me, and I feel it could be for a lot of her generation like an inspiration, because she was an orphan during the Vietnam War. She got abandoned and all, and it was the life she lived was hell on her, and that really kind of, I was like, oh, that's why you're like this. It really opened my eyes to down. And the fact that she still loves me so much of all my mistakes and all my screw ups, and always sticking up for me and loving me. I want to bring that with my son, to be able to give him the safe space for him to come to me, because I don't want him to feel that lonely feeling that I have of not being able to go to my mom when things get tough. It's more so like, be open to talking to your kid. That's it, you know, just understand them in a perspective with an open mind. Don't come in with your opinions. Don't come in with your all this, because if somebody's coming to you, it's not just your kid, anybody. If somebody's coming to you with an issue or a problem, first thing is just listen.
Because they're hoping for you to listen to them and understand them, and that's the reason why they're coming to you, because they trust you. But when it comes to, I guess, in a way like you putting your opinions in there, then now they don't even want to come back to you anymore, because then they can't trust you anymore, or they feel like,
because they're scared of getting in trouble, scared of being judged, scared of being disowned. There's so many things that parents, you know, our parents have such control over our lives, really, because you respect them so much and you want their love. So really anything that they say, it sticks with you, whether it's good or bad. So yeah, I definitely see a shift in our generation trying to be more open emotionally with our children and making it more of a comfortable space instead of the authoritative, like, I'm the parent, this is what I say, and you better listen to me or else. Because the more you push, the more they're gonna back up. The more they're not gonna want to talk to you about stuff in any relationship, really.
Yeah,
that's true.
Most definitely. With my son, though, it wasn't perfect. I was trying to find that balance of when to be a parent and when to be a friend. I was a little bit more stricter with him because my mom helped raise him, but she also spoils him. So if I spoil him how she would, then he would become a completely different kid. Okay, but it really is hard. But honestly, after having that conversation with my mom, I kind of like wonder, when was the last time y'all just sat down with your parents just to ask them about their past? At all?
Not at all. That one I don't really ask them about. Like,
I mean, is there a reason why?
it never really like came to me to just sit down and talk to them. Like, oh, how was it for you back then? Like, I've never gotten to that point where I needed to ask them. I do want to ask them, like, now that we're talking about, like, I do want to say, hey, like, what was it like living on the boat for like a few days, going to Cambodia or Thailand? What was it like? Like, were you scared? Like, I do want to ask them because, like, now that I'm older and I understand things, I do want to sit there and talk to them. So when eventually when I go visit them, I do want to sit down, like, oh, what was it like living in their shoes and stuff? What about you, T?
I don't know. I mean, I see my parents every day, really. So I guess it's never really something like, oh, I don't know you. Tell me about your past. You know? Like,
because like,
I don't know. And also, I feel like I have tried to talk to my dad about it before, and he wasn't very forthcoming. But it's just because, it's
a hard
traumatizing to talk about it, especially with your child. And I think me being a girl, too, that might make a difference, with sensibilities and all that. But my mom would talk about her childhood with me often, so I feel like we're really, really close. But Tommy, like with your dad, him yelling, I feel like that was me with my dad growing up too. Sometimes he'd just yell and I'm like, why are you yelling?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Crazy, they would say, I'm not yelling. This is just how I'm talking. I just talk really loud. I'm like, that's yelling.
That's the definition of yelling.
Because I know you can talk on a regular voice. Because when you talk to me normally, I know that voice.
Yes,
now,
I can tell the difference.
Oh my god, like try and get my dad to understand him talking in a loud voice is yelling, and we hate that. And my mom, like, we all hate yelling. So when he's trying to explain to him, he's like, I'm not yelling. I'm like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
And like you, I'll be yelling too.
Yeah, because you're giving me that energy. I'm going to give you the same energy. And then they're like, why are you yelling? I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh my god. Tiffany tidbit. I have a Tiffany tidbit. It's not, I won't cry this time. But I remember one time I was arguing with my dad because the house is always a mess and we always have to clean it up, right? And he's like, why didn't you clean the house? Like, it's so messy in here, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know what was in me, but I was just like, well, maybe if you didn't have so much junk lying around, it wouldn't be so dirty. And then I was like,
Dang.
I'm gonna see myself out. I'm gonna see myself out. I just walked away. I was like,
preparing herself for getting ass.
Yeah, exactly. Why did I say that? I'm like running away. I was like, why did I say that? But yeah, Tiffany tidbit. And I never said anything like that to him again because the look that he gave me, I was like, I will die. I will die if I stay within this vicinity. But I feel like now that we're older, now that we're adults, now that we live, in a different house and we're not in the same space all the time, I feel like our relationship has gotten so much better because I am an adult and my frontal lobe has developed and and I feel like they see that within me too. So now we have, actual conversations and occasionally I'll tell a penis joke and it's funny to them, like,
oh,
dang,
like you're that comfortable.
I'm an adult. I make penis jokes with my parents. Because if I did that like as a kid, I'd get my butt whooped. But I think it's so different now that we think a little bit more as grown people. So and they know that too. So I definitely feel a dynamic shift between my parents from now compared to when we were younger. Like, I feel very open with them now, and I feel like they're a lot more comfortable with me now. They don't have to be so on my ass all the time, because I can think for myself, and they know that.
And it's crazy because they basically shaped us to be this way.
Yeah.
Like, now that we're older, they're like, oh, they're fine. They have a career. They have money. It's fine. Like, we don't have to worry about them anymore. But when they were younger, they shaped us so much. And it's just crazy because that's who we are now as a person. Like, that's who we become and became. We're basically a puppet.
I know. We are them.
Yeah.
We are extensions of them.
They're descendants.
Extensions of both of them. Like,
yeah.
Their thoughts and minds.
That grew up to talk about penises.
Yeah.
You raised me.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good rhetoric. If they ever ask you, why are you like this? You raised me.
You raised me.
Hello.
Exactly. And that's why I'm kind of scared to have kids, because I'm scared of accidentally traumatizing them in a way or something. But I don't know. I also feel like I'd be a good mom, because I feel like I'm kind of strict, but very like
still fun
in a like, duh, why would you do that kind of way. I wouldn't be like, don't do that because I'm your mom and I say so. I'd be like, don't do that because morally, ethically, like legally,
that's not
financially, this is why it's wrong.
And it's funny because I feel like if you had a kid, you would be the strict one and Sean would be the one that would just...
Because he does that sometimes. He does that sometimes, like with our friends. They'll be like, Sean, do you want to go out? And if he wants to say no, he won't say no. Yeah, there he is. He won't say no. He'll be like, I don't know. It's up to T. I gotta ask T. I'm like, why do I have to be the bad guy?
Like, go ask your mom.
Yeah, exactly. I have to be the bad guy. So whenever he does that, I'm like, yeah, I want to go out. Let's go out. And he'll like, oh, fine, okay, let's go out. Yeah,
I feel like when you
he puts me in the bad cop position.
He'd be like, yeah, Gong, you can go, but go ahead and go ask mom right quick. And then she's like, no. And then
well,
he's the bad person. She's the bad
I'll be like,
person
well,
now.
what did your father say? Oh, he said yes. Go ahead and take his car then. You can take his nice little red Maserati around town. Yeah, with your little friends. Yeah, have fun. Take his car, not mine.
Such the fun parent too.
I can't wait though. I can't wait for you guys to have kids. Because like, when you guys want to have alone time, just dropping them at our house.
Okay, they'll be there 5 days out of the week.
Oh, when college comes around, they're coming back to you.
Right.
They're coming back to you.
In college, they'll be out the door anyway.
You go for a week. I'll take care of them. But once college come around, you go right back to your parents because I don't got that money.
I just don't have I don't have that. I want to have kids yet. Like
the baby fever? Like the baby fever?
For me, when I see a baby, it's kind of like how I see a dog. I like dogs. I'm like, oh, dogs are so cute. And then I go home and I'm like, okay, that was enough.
Yeah.
Like you know, I can't.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to kick in, but it hasn't yet. And I know Sean wants kids, so that kind of makes me nervous. Because what if I don't ever want kids? What if it never comes? You know, that's what I worry about a lot. Because there's so many things I want to do
in life, right? Because it is, like, I feel like it is very hard to have a kid because of course you have to be financially there, and
especially in this day and age
it's hard because you can't do a lot of things sometimes. If you don't have anyone to take care of the kids, then you're kind of like you're stuck home and stuff, which is okay. Nothing wrong with being stuck at home, but sometimes you do want to be able to travel and still experience life. But I guess hopefully eventually, like whenever you're settled with life and you got to experience everything that you wanted to do, enjoy life and stuff like that, then have a kid, you know?
But also the state of the world.
That is true. It's very tough to bring a kid into the world, like, because
the education system.
It's terrible.
Like,
and
climate change is happening. That kind of stuff, it freaks me out. And just the dangers of life. What if they fall into a wrong crowd? What if something happens to them? What if they get murdered? Like that, I just think too much about these things. I'm very like paranoid in that kind of way, and I just feel like I'm a very possessive and controlling person to the point where I would be all up in their business, which I know is wrong, and I don't want to do that, but I can't help it because I just love them so much, and I just want to make sure that they're okay.
They're
but,
okay.
You just gotta let go, and I just can't do it. And like I'm literally learning how to do that now in my friendships. So if I'm learning that now at this ripe age, how am I supposed to do that like as a mother of something that came out of my body? You know, like that's it's gonna be so much worse.
It's so hard because it's your own.
It's my own flesh and blood. That's
your
me.
Own flesh and
That's
blood.
Me.
This is your kid.
How could I let them go out into the world and experience all these dangers?
I think
I'm gonna
you
lock
just
him up
like
in a room.
unlock what his dad was thinking.
Oh, yeah. That's why he said those things. That's why he said those things. Okay.
Yeah, because he loved me and he wanted everything to be okay.
You're the baby.
You're literally the baby.
Yeah.
And it was so hard for them to see me blossom out.
They're just scared.
Like if you had a kid, like of course it's scary because nowadays schools, anything can happen at a school now. Like that's just crazy to me.
Dude, my son's old school lost him twice. They literally called me saying they couldn't find my son.
Where was he?
He was just he got corralled into the wrong line.
Oh,
and I'm just like, do you know how many? I was just like.
You're freaking out. Like when they call you with that news, you would freak out.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Where's my kid? I had him at school.
Like what do you
No, I
mean?
completely understand, but like the whole thing with the school system, and it's every single day. I am always praying that things will be okay because it's just scary out there. But then I'm over here wanting to have another kid. So
you know,
really?
That's good for you though. Good for you that you have that feeling.
I want to see you have a girl.
That's a girl.
I'm meeting you. I want to see you dress her up and stuff. It's so cute.
I mean, that was still a mini me. Like he literally.
He is.
Y'all are very the same.
I'm so glad he looks like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he had my genes.
Your genes are strong, girl.
Yeah, like I'm
he's
so happy.
cute.
But yeah, no, I do want another little girl. But it's very valid about the whole thing, like school fear of. Dude, I keep watching movies and about whenever like the topics about child trafficking and shootings and stuff. I'm just like right after I'm calling, I immediately call my son.
It's just like it's such a headache. And then it's like, when do I give him a phone? Because literally, statistically, iPad kids are more aggressive than.
They are so mean.
They're literally aggressive, like more aggressive than kids that don't have iPad. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is going on in this world?
Like honestly, that's why you're supposed to limit their iPad use. Whenever my son goes out, if we're out, I want you to enjoy what we're doing, not on your iPad the entire time. If we're out eating, he's not allowed to have his iPad. Right. You know, unless we are with friends and stuff like that. But then like my friends like talking to him, so it helps with that. But other than that,
which is the right way.
And then it's like giving them the phone. When are you supposed to give them a phone? Because I would want my child to have a phone in case they need to call me for anything. But also, why do you have a phone? I guess it's like now, if it has like parent lock on it with like no like apps and like getting onto like Snapchat and all that, like talking to strangers. I can't. I
didn't get a phone until the beginning of freaking high school.
Dang.
Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. 6th grade. I got an iPhone 3GS. Girl, I love that little thing.
I had a flip phone in middle school. So, there's not much you can do on there. So, I guess that was pretty safe. How are you going to download, like, Instagram on your flip phone?
Like, would you give your kid, if, let's say, for example, if you had, like, a kid, would you give them a newer generation phone, or would you give them more of an older, like, flip phone,
Oh,
like,
honestly, an older phone.
Like what we went through.
The flip phone is so smart because it's like, this is to call
me.
Yeah.
To call me.
I mean, honestly, Noah does have a phone, but he doesn't even use it.
Yeah.
But it's like the Android phone. But he barely uses it. But again, we put like the parental lock, child lock and stuff. But it's always cute whenever he does use it because he'll text me. Aww. And then he would text me, he would like discover emojis. He would discover, when he discovered GIFs or however you want to like pronounce it, he started sending me a whole bunch. He's like, Mom, look, these pictures are moving.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's cute. But then like my son, he doesn't even go a crap about his phone.
That's good.
Like,
that's good though. I mean, I feel like you taught your kid
because some kids go crazy without it. Yeah.
When you take it away, they throw a tantrum.
And it's the only way to like soothe them, and it's just this whole negative feedback cycle. It's not healthy at all.
Some of these patients with the kid will be crying on the top of their lungs, but right when they get the iPad, it's silent,
and it's like, whoa, it's like they're hypnotized.
Yeah, like they turned into like a different child. I was like, whoa.
That's why again you have to be strict when you need to, and be very present in your kid's life, like in not a overbearing sense, because again you want them to be able to open up to you, talk to you, like with Noah, he does play online games, but he knows better than to reveal how old he is or talk to strangers into that sense. And and I trust him, and some of my friends do play games with him too, so they keep an eye out on him. But again, I feel to prevent them from hiding things from you, just be present, be open, don't be judgmental. That's it.
Because it's gonna push them away.
I agree. It will push them away, because growing up, it pushed us away when they were being overbearing, judgmental. But we grew up fine.
We're fine now.
I'm fine now. I was a bad kid growing up, you know, I was messaging strangers on the internet, you know, like, I don't want my kid to be doing that because I saw some things I should not have seen. Omegle. Oh my God. Yep. That's enough yapping for today. That was,
quite an eventful.
It was. We dove into your life story and I loved it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to hear any more, or if you have your own personal stories that you want to share, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, email us, do whatever you want to do. See y'all next time. Bye.